Now, what if I told you that there's nothing to say? What's going on, y'all? Soul here, and welcome back to my story mode. So, like a lot of you earlier this month, I absolutely had no option but to pick up Mario and Luigi Brothership. Easily one of my most anticipated games this year. I was very excited for it, considering the fact that of all the Mario and Luigi RPGs, or all the Mario RPGs in particular, Mario and Luigi is absolutely my favorite of all the series. I enjoyed Paper Mario a lot. Super Mario RPG was one game, and it didn't really have that much of a story in my personal opinion, so I was never really attached to it like that. But the Mario and Luigi games, those suckers always ate. They had some awesome stories, they had great comedy, they had such fun worlds to explore, and they had one of the most intricate combat systems. Actually, I take it back, not intricate per se, but one of the most interesting combat systems, in which, yeah, it is a turn-based RPG, but you are still very active. It may as well be an action game. The idea of always consistently dodging and making harder hits by timing your button presses was always super intriguing to me, and it has made Mario and Luigi easily one of my favorite styles of RPGs. Hell, a lot of newer RPGs nowadays take inspiration from games like Mario and Luigi because, you know, they kind of did the whole Chrono Trigger thing in which you are very much active during your battles, and I absolutely love and adore that, which is why there was no way in hell I was skipping out on Mario and Luigi Brothership. From the little bit that we had seen a couple of months ago for the first time, it always looked gorgeous. I was so enamored with the art style, and I was just so generally happy that the game was coming back at all, considering the fact that the original company that was developing these games went bankrupt, and Nintendo said absolutely nothing about getting that team back or anything in regards to that. They didn't absorb them into any of the teams or anything as far as we know, but I mean, they could have. It's very possible. I actually don't know entirely who developed this game yet. Oh, also, I'm not finished, so, you know, if you're gonna comment, don't spoil just yet. I'll let you know I'll be in the comments with you when I finish the game. But regardless, I had such high hopes for this game because I knew that they were anticipating the fact that we had been waiting on this game for a very long time, considering the fact that the last real new game that we got for this series was Paper Jam. Paper Jam was not great. I mean, the gameplay was really fun. I'm not gonna knock that. The gameplay was awesome. That's the one thing you can always count on for these games, is that the gameplay is always going to be ecstatic. It is always going to be stellar. So I had no doubt in my mind that this game was absolutely going to do the exact same thing. But it had been so long that I didn't know how to go about it. I was just so enamored, so excited to see what Mario and Luigi bring to the table. Now, here's where things get a little dicey, right? As you've seen from the title and the thumbnail, we are talking about my journey with Mario and Luigi so far. I'm going to be talking about my likes and my dislikes, right? I'm about a quarter of the way through with the game, and I did initially pick it up intending to just ram through it in a weekend. I figured Mario and Luigi games, you know, they're great RPGs, but they're not that insanely long. I could probably bar through this in no time at all. And it's been almost 3 weeks now. It's been a hot minute, and I'm still working my way through, and I'm a quarter way in. I'm getting old, bruh. Oh no, I never wanted to get to this point. But see, that's the thing though. I didn't have a problem sitting down and not getting up for hours on end when something like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth came out. I was in that seat for days on end, doing nothing else but ramming through that game. On the occasional couple of days where I needed to make a video, I would reluctantly do it, get those ready, and get right back on the game. But for Mario and Luigi Brothership, that wasn't necessarily the case, and that was interesting. However, I did recently force myself to sit down and play a good chunk and finally make my way like a quarter way through the game. And now I feel like it's safe to kind of just give my general somewhat like opinion so far. I'm not too far in yet. My opinion could absolutely change, but here's where I stand with a lot of this stuff now. We're gonna do my positives, my negatives, and things that I'm a little mixed on. An absolute no-brainer, but the graphical styling and the animation is beautiful to look at. I love the style of this game. It is so pretty, it is so fun, it's so colorful, and it is so animated. It's so squishy and so just childlike. It's so good. It's such a good time. The animation director for this cooked hella, because this is precisely what I would have imagined a modern Mario and Luigi game to look like, even though I didn't necessarily think it up myself, but it's exactly what I would have wanted from a modern Mario and Luigi. And if we get more from this franchise, then by all means, make them all look like this, man. That is totally fun, because if there's one thing about modern graphics is that they're getting tired. We don't need games to look hyper realistic anymore. It's getting old, it's getting boring, and it's getting too close to reality, which is getting really scary. We need more stylized games, and Mario and Luigi Brothership is an absolute testament to that. This game looks really, really good. The animations are really, really good and fun and pretty and squishy and just so much fun. I love it so much. I could look at this game for hours and never get tired. I can't wait to see more games with this style if they ever decide to do so, because I will legitimately never get sick of it. After that, of course, so far, I gotta say, the gameplay is heat. The gameplay is absolutely fire. Like I said, if there's one thing you can always look forward to in a Mario RPG, it's the gameplay. And it's because of Mario and Luigi that I feel that way. Of course, we've always had the fun little stylings of how these brothers do their attacks and things like that. The multi-jumps, the fun hammer hits, the crazy bros attacks. They've always been super fun, super flashy, and such a fun little time. But this time around, they really did cook. Every single attack that they do, they're doing together. Mario's standard stomp attacks, Luigi's helping him out. All of Luigi's standard stomp attacks, Mario's right behind him. The hammer attacks, they've got each other, man. They're making each other spin, they're making each other twirl, and using those hammers to the best of their abilities. They're mixing up their powers, and it is so glorious. And we haven't even gotten to the bros attacks yet. Every attack that they do is super flashy, and like I said, going back to the animation here, it is just so much fun to look at. I never get sick of attacking enemies. They absolutely cooked with that animation. It's just so much fun to fight and battle just to look at all of them. And that's not even just including the brothers. That's including the enemies as well. I love seeing the way that the enemies move and just getting used to their attacks and things like that. All of the enemies and stylings of their designs are so incredibly creative. I love the way that these enemies are designed. Grunts or bosses alike. The bosses are a lot of fun so far too. I really like what they did with a lot of these bosses, especially with the... I haven't even gotten to the overworld stuff yet, but obviously the battling is the primary thing, so regardless, they do these unique things with the bosses where you're basically playing a little bit of a mini game so that you can help yourself get a little bit of an edge during battle, so that you can use stronger attacks or hit them with like critical attacks and things like that. And it is always so much fun. I never get sick of doing that. It's such a good addition. The reason for that is because of an overworld ability that made its way into the battles as well, called Luigi's Logic, and that is very interesting. At first I had my qualms about it because it was just like, you know, they're pretty like standard things, like, oh, okay, well, it's literally just like an idea that Luigi has to, you know, oh, okay, well, if I can't reach that, I just have to jump a little higher to reach that thing. Oh, we need to get past these bars. I can kind of just squeeze through. It's logic. Like, it's, I don't know how to, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where when you're in a game and you see that you can't get somewhere and you're thinking, I mean, I can go there, it's just not letting me. The game is not allowing me to, because I just don't need to be at that point yet. But with Luigi Logic, it's almost like it kind of breaks that immersion, and it kind of like uses literal logic from Luigi's point of view to get through however he needs to get through. And in that sense, it also applies to the battles, in which you are using the battleground. You are using something on the battlefield to give yourself a bit of an advantage if you get your timing right. And it is so much fun to utilize that. It's made the game just a good time for the most part. The gameplay is very, very solid. The overworld is filled with so many different things to do. There's actually a lot of different side quests and all that. There's a lot of different NPCs to interact with. Of course, you're working day and night trying to, you know, go to all of these different islands and get them connected and get as much money as you possibly can so that you can buy a bunch of different upgrades and, or not upgrades per se, but better equipment, as you always do in Mario and Luigi games. You always want to, you know, get the freshest overalls, get the freshest fits, you know what I'm saying? Get the freshest hammers, get the freshest boots. You always want to get, you know, the top tier stuff. You're always trying to look, you know, styled out, decked out at all times. And they do a good job of incentivizing you to go out of your way to do that, especially because, you know, the Brothership in this sense is a literal ship with the, what's it called? The unit tree. It's crazy hand gesture. the uni tree is essentially the connector, the one that connects all of the lighthouses and all of the islands. And you are going around connecting all of these islands, and you are going around helping all of these different people that are stuck on these islands and getting them connected. And once you get the islands connected, you are getting involved with these people's lives, and it is so much fun. The world looks very pretty. I enjoy looking around, going around to every little town and things like that, seeing what the people are like. Every single individual NPC has something to say, and they have a little bit of a personality on them, and it's so fun. Nintendo always has fun with their NPCs, and it really does show. But for the most part, I think that the gameplay being in the positives so far is a very, very good thing, because if the gameplay sucked, it would be a major problem. But obviously it wasn't the gameplay holding me back. We'll talk about what was holding me back, but let's get to the negatives first. The first thing in terms of negatives is the music. Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying that the music is bad, but you know, when you compare it to all of the previous music that we've had from the original Mario and Luigi games and things like that, when what you've heard from, you know, Bowser's Inside Story, Superstar Saga, Mario and Luigi Dream Team, the music in those games just are elite. And these, maybe it's because it's a time thing, right? Like I said, this is the journey so far. Maybe I have to give them another listen. Maybe I have to give a lot of them another chance. But as of right now, the music isn't really hitting with me all that much. The only music that I'm kind of vibing with, thank God, is the battle theme, which, you know, I would think would get repetitive after a while, but I'm still, every time it comes on, I'm still jamming to it, and it's still a really good time. It's really fun. So, at the very least, the battle theme is very good. The music overall is just not super duper strong yet, but again, maybe I just gotta give it a little more time for it to, you know, click with me. I have a lot of different areas to visit, and I've got a lot of music to, you know, re-listen to and give another chance, considering the fact that, you know, I'll be honest, sometimes I'm watching streams and stuff like that, but it's because the music wasn't hitting at first, you know what I'm saying? So I'll give it another chance. I'll see what happens with the music. Then of course, I think one of my most major problems, and this is what I think this is probably my biggest problem, is the fact that the start was so slow, right? It was such a it just didn't grip me as much as I would have liked. And this is coming from a Persona fan. I know what a slow start looks like, but it's just the fact that there was just so many tutorials and so many I don't know, there was just so much hand holding, and it was just like, wow. I mean, I get it, because to be fair, this is technically the easiest legal game to obtain, which means that if you don't already have, where is it? Come here, there you are. Dust that sucker off. Wow. If you don't already own a legal copy of you know, Bowser's Inside Story, any of the other Mario and Luigi games, it's a little bit more of a pain in the ass to get nowadays, right? Because you have the originals, which is, you know, oh, I guess you can play I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. You can technically play Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga on the Nintendo. Why am I blanking on the shop name? Oh my god, Nintendo Switch Online, NSO. Jeez, that was crazy, but you can legally play it there. But most of the other games, unless you already have them, kind of a pain in the ass to get. Even like, especially like Bowser's Inside Story. I don't know about Paper Jam. The 3DS ones, they're probably kind of expensive, you know? So Nintendo definitely figured, okay, this game is a lot of people's first entry into the series, so let's make sure that they know how to play the game. But these games are not hard to get into. You know what I'm saying? Like, usually the first thing you do, you know, I don't know, there's not really all that much to learn, and this is definitely one of those games where you can absolutely learn as you go. And in the older games, I could be wrong on this, it's been a very long time since I've played, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can avoid tutorials entirely. Literally, Starlo would come down and be like, hey, you get what's going on here? And you could be like, yeah, I got it. And she could be like, oh, all right, sick, go head on. And you would just go, you would just run it, you would just run the hands. You know what I'm saying? You don't really get that option here. This game is very handholdy because it's very scared that it's gonna scare people away if they don't know how to play, right? And that's the thing with a lot of games nowadays, is that they're very scared that if your player doesn't know exactly how to play the game, they're not gonna play it. And it's like, guys, you gotta trust your players a little bit, let them figure it out a little bit, which is what really heavily contributed to the slow start of this game. And it's why I kind of had a hard time coming back every now and again to, you know, pick it up, because I'm sitting here like, some days I'm thinking like, oh man, what do I even want to do? And I'm like, oh my god, I have a brand new Mario and Luigi game that I need to be playing. I gotta finish that up. You know what I'm saying? So, unfortunately, the slow start did definitely get in the way for a little while. The game did ramp up. Once you get further into the game and you start, you know, they start letting you go and do your thing, you're fine. It definitely, you know, backs off a little bit and lets you do your thing. But it's that beginning where it's like, oh my god, just let me go, man. But then again, I don't know, maybe that's a specific situation because I'm already well endowed when it comes to Mario and Luigi games. I'm already very well established with that series, so maybe that's the issue there. But I don't really know. Maybe that's just a me thing, but regardless, thankfully I was able to get past the slower start and I was able to just start rolling on. So maybe, you know, my pacing with the game will be a lot better from now on, but you know, we'll play that by ear. Now, the one thing that I am mixed on, I did say mixed, you know, as in I made it seem like I had multiple mixed things, but there's only one thing. And the thing that I'm mixed on is the story. Usually the Mario and Luigi games are very, very straightforward when it comes to their story, but the way that they do it is actually very, very fun. The way that you see the villains do their thing, they're usually very interesting and fun, unique villains. You know, sometimes, you know, Bowser gets involved, Peach gets involved, you know, Fawful gets involved. It's always really fun to see whatever shenanigans everybody gets up to. The thing though here is that it's a little predictable. The comedy isn't the same as the previous games. And again, it's very slow to get into like the main meat of what's going on. You don't even meet the main villains until a good way into like the game. Like you got to be at least like 5-6 hours or something into the game before you even meet the villains. Maybe even later than that. I don't even remember how early I met them, but it was a while. And on top of that, you know, sometimes it's a tad predictable, you know, and it's very like very, very childlike in terms of like the you know, the way that they do flashbacks, and it's very like, you know, they're cute and things like that. Don't get me wrong, the cutscenes and stuff are very, very cute, but it's very simple, I guess for lack of a better term. There's nothing really complex about any of these characters or anything like that. They don't do anything absolutely insane. Again, I'm still pretty early in relatively. Like, I've finished like the first major island, or not island, first major current, sea current. The big, zoom out of your map and you'll know what I'm talking about, but you get what I'm getting at. Essentially, I just feel like the story took a little while to start ramping up. I'm starting to get a general idea of the actual enemies now. They're kind of fun, you know, I'm not really all that attached to them yet. Maybe they'll grow on me a little more as the game goes, but we'll have to see what happens with all that. They're no Count Black, I'll say that much, but I don't know, maybe we'll get our next Count Black here. We'll see what happens. However, I will say that the main villain is a little interesting. I hope and pray that I didn't already predict who it is. I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong, because if that is who I think it is, that's not a twist anymore, guys. We gotta do different. But I'm gonna keep my mouth shut because that could be a spoiler for y'all, and I'm just gonna keep it to myself. We'll see what happens. But that kind of just generally wraps it up for my journey so far. Overall, I'm still having a good time, and now that I've, you know, really gotten the training wheels off and I've been able to go off and do my own thing, go to any current, do any side quest at any given time, and have, you know, more abilities and stuff to really traverse the lands and things like that, I have a little bit more freedom. It's definitely starting to get a little bit better. I think it was just the slow start that was holding me back and keeping me from going back a little more consistently. But even now, I plan on getting this done, getting another video done, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just, you know, just spend the rest of my night with the game. I want to see how far I can get, right? I want to do all the side quests and things like that now. I want to get as much money and equipment as possible so I can deal with these bosses, because some of these bosses, I will say, they do be hitting hard. When, you know, you have those battles, you know, when your timing is off and you start to struggle a little bit, your timing can be a little off and you start getting your ass whooped, and it becomes a little bit of a problem. So I want to be well equipped before I run into another situation like that. And that's the thing. Now I'm in that mindset. Now I'm like, okay, I want to go back and play a little more. I want to, you know, start getting it back into my rhythm, back into my game, right? So I think we're getting there. I think I just got to give it even a little more time. Maybe I'll enjoy the story and characters a little bit more. We'll see what happens. I don't hate the characters. I think that they're very cute. I love that this is a little isekai story for the Mario world and this other world pretty much connecting, and it's very strange for everybody. But it's fun. I think it's a really fun time, and I want to progress. You know, I want to give it a little more time to cook, because there's a lot more here than I know of. So we'll see what happens. But with that, I think that does just about wrap things up here. So I'm passing the mic over to you guys. I want you guys to tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below. Are you enjoying Mario and Luigi Brothership? Do you think that it's a really good time? You've been having fun with it for the past week or 3 and you've been progressing like nobody's business? Maybe you've already beaten it and you think it's a phenomenal game? Or are you on the opposing side of things? You don't really care for Mario and Luigi Brothership. It's not that great. You think that IGN had something to say when they gave it a 5 out of 10. Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I am always going to be down there with you guys. But with that, it does appear to be skedaddle o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and do just that. I would like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment. Consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gone, so thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!
Doing donuts in a bin. I stay funky. Battle goes wherever I am. I stay funky. I don't know who's ready to spit. Just know you're going down with my 58 clips. I stay funky. Honey's taking back to the crib. I stay funky. Get the club popped off like pain. I stay funky. I don't know.